This is Algebra 1, Lesson 4.6. We're graphing equations using slope-intercept form. Part number 2, we pick it up with example number 2. It says graph the equation, negative 2x plus y is equal to negative 3. First thing you need to do is you need to move this to where it is in slope-intercept form. It does not say y equals mx plus b. You have to move negative 2x to the other side. Negative 2x is the same thing as minus 2x, so you undo minus something by adding 2x. When you add it to both sides, you're left with something that says y equals positive 2x minus 3, mx plus b. So from here, you can see two values. You can see your m value, which is 2, and you can see your b value, which is negative 3. Your b value, b, tells you where to begin. You begin on your y-axis at negative 3, which is this point right here. Your m value, m, tells you where to move. Remember, slope tells you rise over run. So since your m value is 2, slopes will always be fractions. Even right now, it is an integer 2. It is not written as a 2. It's written as a 2, excuse me. You have to make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Everything can be put over 1 as a fraction. If it's already a fraction, you use what it has. If it's not a fraction, you put it over 1. This is, since it's positive, tells you to go up 2 times, and since it's positive, tells you to go to the right once. So from that point we started at negative 3 where we began, we go up twice and to the right 2 times, and we put our second point, which allows us to graph straight through it. So y equals 2x minus 3. You can see your m and you can see your b. Then it says to plot the point 0, negative 3. Focus on this value, negative 3. Then you draw your second point by rising 2 or up 2 and running 1. Once you have 2 points, you can draw a straight line through 2 points. Again, get it to say mx plus b, and you can see everything you need to graph it. On the back, graph this equation. Negative 2x plus y is equal to 5. The first thing you need to do is get it into slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Take about 1 minute. So to make this in the slope-intercept form, we have to move negative 2x to the other side. It says negative 2x, so you add 2x to both sides. When you do that, you're left with y equals positive 2x, and it already says positive 5 on the right. So mx plus b is what it says now. Your m value is 2, so m is 2, and your b value is positive 5. B is 5. Remember, b tells you where to begin on your y-axis. So begin at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. Your slope is 2. Remember, m tells you where to move. All slopes are fractions, even if they aren't written as fractions. You have to write it as a fraction by putting it over 1. Slope is rise over run. It is positive 2, which tells you to go up 2. It is positive 1, which tells you to go right 1. So up 2 and to the right 1 will be your second point. Once you have 2 points, you can draw your straight line through those 2 points, and your graph will look like so. Example number 3 is identifying a family of parallel lines. Remember what we talked about yesterday. Parallel lines have the same slope. So if we can create or if we can move these equations to be in slope intercept form, then all we have to do is compare the m value. If the m values are the same, then they have the same slopes. If the m values are different, then they do not have the same slopes. Remember, if they have the same slope, they are parallel lines. So the first line, negative 2x plus y equals 4, when we convert it into slope intercept form, we're going to bring this over, and it's going to say y equals 2x plus 4. When we convert the second equation, we're going to bring x over, and it'll say 2y equals negative x plus 6, and then we'll divide by 2 from all terms, which makes it say y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. And then for the last equation, we'll bring over 8x to make it say negative 4y equals negative 8x plus 5. Then divide by negative 4 by everything. And you have y is equal to a negative divided by negative is a positive 2x, and then a negative 5 divided by 4 is negative 5 over 4. So now you have 3 equations. You can look at all 3 of the m values. This one says y equals mx plus b. This one says y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. You can compare all 3 of the m values. Notice a and c each have the same value 2. So line A is parallel with line C. Line B is actually a perpendicular line of those 2 lines, and we'll talk more about perpendicular in a future lesson. On the back, which of the following lines are parallel? Move all three of these equations into slope intercept form. Make all 3 of them say y equals mx plus b, and then compare the m values to determine which 2 are parallel. For the first equation, 3y equals negative 9x minus 5. To get y by itself, you only have one operation to undo. You have to undo 3 times y. So divide by 3. That'll cancel it. Remember, if you do it to the left, you got to do it to everything on the right. Y equals negative 3x minus 5 over 3. So that's in mx plus b form. For number 2, you have to do 2 steps to get this one to go to mx plus b form. You have to move over 6x by adding it. Now it says 2y is equal to a positive 6x minus 5. Then you need to divide by 2 to cancel out 2y. You divide that by 2, you need to divide this and this by 2, which gives you 3x minus 5 over 2. And then to get the other one to say y equals mx plus b, you need to move 12x over by subtracting 12x. Do the same here. And you have 4y is equal to negative 12x positive 1. Divide by 4 by everything. Negative 3x plus 1 over 4. Now all of them say y equals mx plus b. Compare your m values. Negative 3 for that one, positive 3 for that one, and negative 3 for this one. And that shows you that parallel lines have the same slope. Line A and C are parallel. Even though line B had a slope of 3, which is similar to negative 3, that is not the same value, which means it is not parallel with those two. Then your checkpoint told you to graph these equations. Unfortunately, they were all graphed for you, but we'll go through them real quick to show you how you needed to graph it. You need to make it say y equals mx plus b. X needs to go over to the other side. When you do that, you'll get negative y minus 2 equals negative x when you subtract x on both sides. Then to get y by itself, you need to move over negative 2 by adding 2. If you add it to the right, add it to the left, that leaves you with negative y equals negative x plus 2. And one more thing you need to do, to get y by itself, you divide by negative 1, since that is negative 1 times y. If you do it to the left, do it to the right, divide by negative 1 and negative 1. Negative divided by negative is going to be a positive 1x. 2 divided by negative 1 is a negative 2. Y is equal to x minus 2. So that says y equals mx plus b. Your b value tells you to begin at negative 2. We can see it begins right there at negative 2. Your m value is 1. Remember, all slopes are fractions. They are over 1. Tells you to go up 1, rise, over run, to the right 1, up 1, and over 1. There is your second point, and that's how you draw your line through those 2 points. For this one, you need to move over 2x by subtracting it on both sides. What that leaves you with is 3y equals negative 2x positive 9. Then divide by 3. Divide this one and this one by 3. And y's value is equal to negative 2 over 3x plus 3. Y equals mx plus b. Your b value tells you to begin at 3. Your m value is negative 2 over 3. We learned about slopes. Negative 2 tells you to go down 2. Positive 3 tells you to go to the right 3 times. Down 2 to the right 3 times is right here. When you have 2 points, you draw your line through those 2 points. Y equals mx plus b. Number 6 says y equals 5 minus 2x and y plus 2x is equal to 0. Decide if those two are parallel. Take 1 minute and decide whether those two are parallel. Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. So the first equation, to get it to where you can see the slope, it already has y by itself. You just have to reorder these two. Y equals negative 2x, positive 5. And you can see what your m value is for that one, negative 2. The other equation, we need to bring 2x over to the other side by subtracting it. If you do it there, do it here. So y is equal to negative 2x plus 0. There's no reason to write plus 0. But again, you could see y equals mx plus b. You can see what your m values are. Are these two lines parallel? Do they have the same slope value? Yes is the answer. Both of them have negative 2. Therefore, they are the same slope. Do the same thing for number 7. Decide whether these two are parallel. Get it to where you can see the slopes. And then if both of the m values are the same, you know they're parallel. Take another minute. Y equals x minus 2 over 3. And 2x plus 6y equals 12. You have to find out what your slope-intercept form is. Both of these are dividing by 3. 1x is dividing by 3, which makes it say y equals 1 over 3x. And negative 2 is dividing by 3, which means negative 2 thirds. So your slope for that one, your m value is 1/3. In order to find your slope of your other one, you need to move over 2x to get it to say y equals mx plus b. It is positive 2x, so you subtract it. When you do it there, you do it here. That doesn't give you 10 anything because those are not like terms. So 6y is equal to negative 2x plus 12. Divide by 6 on both sides. Divide this and this by 6. Y is equal to a negative 2 divided by a positive 6 is a negative 1 over 3x, and a 12 divided by 6 is a positive 2. Again, your m value, mx plus b, is now negative 1/3. When you compare these two, 1/3 and negative 1/3, even though they're the same number, they're opposite because one's positive and one's negative, which means they are not the same, which means they are not parallel lines.